What's good? Late Night Live. Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Got a couple topics I want to run through. There was this crazy story on this airline, this aborted flight. So I'm going to cover that. Spooky stuff. They got on the plane and then everybody started getting pictures through their airdrop. Dan Crenshaw versus Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's really no big deal. I don't know why that's trending as a huge thing. A lot of people who don't follow what's happening know what's happening in the GOP. And they think it's some type of infighting. When Marjorie Taylor Greene and Dan Crenshaw are going at it, that's not infighting. That's the same as Marjorie Taylor Greene versus any other Adam Kinzinger or Liz Cheney or Nancy Pelosi. It's no different. Then I got the main thing I want to talk about is Kathy for Truth. Just found out about her. People tried to tell Trump we're not looking at down. I'm not in Pennsylvania, so when I say we, I'm saying it generally. We don't support Dr. Oz. Don't trust him. So that's why you're seeing the rise of Kathy Barnette right now. So that's the main topic I want to cover is Kathy Barnette. And then an incredible, heroic moment to end on a positive note. It's really, truly what our country is about. And when push comes to shove, that still is our country. So I still have a little bit of hope. Let me go through and start with the first one here about this flight. Could you imagine this? As if you have a chance to get in on the Late Night Live, maybe you're on the West Coast, maybe you're in Australia, maybe you're somewhere in the country where it's not, and I'm in Mountain, so it's 11:37. Maybe you're somewhere in the country where it's not past midnight on a weekday, but got to fit it in when I can. So this flight here got aborted. Why did it get aborted? Flights get aborted all the time. You know, things happen, get canceled, whatever. Flight aborted after eerie pictures mysteriously went to passengers' phones. And I'm looking at this is almost like an episode of the X-Files or something. What do you mean mysterious? What are you talking about? Mysterious pictures went to somebody's phone. What does that even mean? A flight was postponed just before takeoff after a number of passengers received these pictures. And this is a flight that was set to travel from Israel to Turkey. The pilot decided to turn back to the terminal, amid the panic here. This is at the Ben Gurion Airport in Israel. So the Israel publication Khan News noted how the images showed a series of plane crashes with no one knowing who was responsible for sending them. So somehow, one passenger who was aboard the flight, they said, what happened here? We got on the flight and the plane started moving. Most people received a request for a photo confirmation in AirDrop. Now, if you're on an Apple device, that has to be Apple. If you're on an Apple device and you see that request for AirDrop and you're not expecting anything, you really probably, I would recommend to say no. You shouldn't be getting an AirDrop unless you know an AirDrop is coming. And all that is a wireless transfer of files. That's all it is. But some people, might have accidentally or just, curious or, whatever, clicked yes. And they got these pictures of planes that were crashed. That's like Tales from the Crypt. So the plane stopped. The flight attendants asked who got the pictures. Police swarmed in. They took all the luggage, looked to find out. That's all we got. I looked through here. They didn't find anything. Among the pictures, so they notified the cabin of what was going on. The pilot was like, nah, I'm not rolling like this. It sounds like terrorism. Among the pictures were two of wreckages, one of which was a Turkish airplane that crashed in '09. And then the second was a 2013 wreckage of a plane that crashed in San Francisco. So the authorities are trying to get to the bottom of this. I just wanted to start off with that. Just a little spooky intro. Let me know what you think. I'd be like, get me the hell off of this plane. And I don't have many reservations from flying. But I'd be like, you need to stop this plane now, immediately, so I can get off this mug. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Dan Crenshaw, you could say they exchanged pleasantries. That's kind of the sporting term for a little bit of interaction, a little bit of extracurricular interaction going on. And I'm talking about exchange of words here on Twitter. Twitter is just another example of why Twitter is the major platform. You're not seeing this interaction anywhere else. Where else are you seeing this? Where else in the history of media have we seen this? I've never seen this where you've got Elon Musk going at it and with somebody, AOC or whatever, and then MTG at Dan Crenshaw. This is why Twitter is the spot. Dan Crenshaw tweeted something, and he probably thought it was an innocent tweet. I think it was too, like not that big of a deal. He said our open border and the fentanyl pouring across it is killing Americans in record numbers. Biden doesn't care. They only care what the radical immigration groups think, not you. So that's fine. I'm not a huge Dan Crenshaw fan. That's putting it nicely. But I agree with that tweet, so I got no problem with that. This dude ratioed him. So that's when the feeling started, in my opinion. I don't care about it. It's just so weird to me. I didn't even know what a ratio was when I jumped. I was on Twitter a little bit before the pandemic, but I seriously jumped on, after the Floyd stuff, and I knew I was going to be doing the channel. I got my channel, Twitter account. And so people were using the term ratioed. I was like, I didn't even know, what does that mean? And then I saw it. For example, a ratio can be if you've got more replies than likes, quote tweets, all that kind of stuff. So they were looking at it and they said, this dude, Chig Bungness, just some random dude, got 675 followers. he uploaded, he got a bunch. He got about 400 or so, 375 followers after this, but he's showing Will Smith smacking Dan Crenshaw with a mask on. But he has no big following. Dan Crenshaw, probably, what does he have, 500? Oh, he has 1 mil. Wow. He has a 1.2 mil. And this dude, Chig Bungus, ratioed him. So his tweets got 11,000 likes, and Dan Crenshaw got 2,000. I think, just from my impression of Dan Crenshaw, he's just kind of fugazi, kind of like trying to play it cool, like he doesn't care. But I think something like that irks him. That some rando ratioed him, not just ratioed him to hell. So Dan Crenshaw was talking about the fentanyl, and he's probably like, this is something that everyone would rally around. This dude, Chig Bigness, said, yeah, you sound off about that stuff, but then you vote yes on the 100 or the $40 billion to Ukraine. And everybody, that's where everybody's head's at right now for populists. Dan Crenshaw, you're off topic, and you voted yes on this bill, this $40 billion bill. I've talked about a lot. So Dan Crenshaw, in my opinion, got into his feelings a little bit. He's like, yeah, because investing in the destruction of our adversary's military without losing a single American troop strikes me as a good idea. You should feel the same. That wasn't the own you thought it was, Dan. And it seems like it's always that way with you. It seems like it's always that way where you think you're owning somebody and you sound really bad. There's so much in here that's bad. So number one, we're going to see Marjorie Taylor Greene respond. But my first thought is, we're investing in the destruction of our adversary's military. Are we in a war with Russia, Mr. Crenshaw? What is that what we're trying to do here? Oh, so we're in a war, but then he says without, because that's my interpretation of it. What is the destruction of your adversary's military? That's a war. That's the definition of war, basically. And then he said, without losing a single American. So now he just defined proxy war. He's basically in those two. It's not even. I didn't even finish the sentence yet, but basically that's the full sentence. He just says it strikes me as a good idea. So in one sentence, in two parts, investing in the destruction of our adversary's military without losing a single American troop, that is the definition of a proxy war. And then what he's saying now is, you might have that Ukraine flag in your bio, but we're on purpose doing a proxy war with Russia to sacrifice your life, Ukrainians. That's what that one sentence, it was a lot in one sentence, right? You can do a lot in 280 or whatever characters it is on Twitter now. And then he ends it with, you should feel the same. Bruh, we don't need to feel the same. You could say the most base thing in the world. I don't need to hear you say you should feel the same. So he might have just made a mistake there. Maybe sometimes I'll say stuff like that. Like, whoa, I don't mean it like that. You feel how you feel. I just feel strongly about this issue. So let's just put it like this. The tweet's a mess. Disaster. So I'm not surprised that Marjorie Taylor Greene had to swoop on in. She still has her official rep account. She's banned from her personal one until Elon Musk fixes that. MTG says, so you think we are funding a proxy war with Russia? Agree. You speak as if Ukrainian lives should be thrown away, as if they have no value. It was a very crash tweet by Mr. Crenshaw. It was just very nonchalant about what the goal was here. We want to destroy Russia's military. And I know you guys have beef with Russia, so you guys can die for that cause. That's what it came across as. So Marjorie Taylor Greene replied, and if that's that happens to me all the time, I will say, well, no, I really meant this. This is what I was trying to say. That's all you had to do, Dan. So then Marjorie Taylor Greene continued to say, just used and thrown away. So now, you see what happened. He got into his feelings, in my opinion, on the ratio to hell by just a account with no followers. Then he tried to do that tweet. You should agree. And then on top of that, one of his biggest adversaries, the biggest voice for the people in Washington, D.C., by far, bar none, Marjorie Taylor Greene, hops on in. And now he's really in his feelings. Like his good eye is working really hard right now. And I appreciate his service. I'm just saying that's where he is at mentally at this moment. And so she said it again, for your proxy war. How does that help Americans? Now he's really getting triggered because he knows people like this more than what he's saying. How does any of this help? There's no answer to this. I have not heard yet once. I've been following a lot of this stuff. People who are pro sending money over to Ukraine to kind of drag out this war over there, to drag it out as long as possible. That's the only reason you're sending arms over there, money for weapons and stuff. I haven't heard one tangible reason why we should be doing that. How does that help Americans? I haven't heard any legit answers other than these vague protecting democracy. I don't know what that means, because what Ukrainians think is democracy ain't what I think is democracy. And what our establishment politicians think is democracy is not what I think it is. So it's all these vague, well, are you on Russia's side? Like, you didn't answer my question. So Dan Crenshaw comes in with he's trying to do he's very similar to AOC now. His tweets are very ineffective. So after all, Marjorie Taylor Greene laid all that out, and this is happening in public now, his response is, still going after that slot on Russia Today, huh? That is a lame yes queen attempt. That is something I would expect to hear from like Nancy Pelosi or something, or Eric Swalwell probably. Not Dan Crenshaw. I would expect to hear that from like Sonny Halston on this View or something. like something that just makes no sense. You're trying to get the yes queen, and then all the other ignorant yes queens go, yes queen. That's your response? You would have been better off just not responding, for me at least. So Pedro L. Gonzalez says, MTG raised several good points to Crenshaw about the consequences of our irresponsible foreign policy. He responded catly. Basically, that's a nice way of saying he was a bitch. That's what Pedro said. I'm interpreting what Pedro said. He basically said he's responding like a bitch. Zero substance, with a line that Rachel Maddow would use. Just another day, another own for Mr. Crenshaw. He loves doing that. It's like self-owned stuff. The dude is endorsing all this money, not just the 40 bill, the total amount. I don't know. I think we're over 50 bill now. I don't know. I've lost track. I don't know anymore. The Babylon Bee had that crazy headline. The Babylon Bee, there's a reason why they banned them from Twitter. Babylon Bee had this crazy, one of their best ever. I tweeted it on the community on YouTube. Starving American babies disguise selves as Ukrainian soldiers in hopes of getting $40 billion in federal aid. Yikes. Man, that kind of, I don't know, is sarcasm the right way for that, or satire? Satire, sarcasm, jokes, parody, whatever you want to call it, that is biting. And those in charge do not like it. Woo! Because there's truth to it. That's why. So Dan Crenshaw's, he can't. The reason why he's not going to get into tangibles, because the more he gets into tangibles, the more he's going to get owned. How do you defend 50 plus billion to Ukraine, and all this money is kind of disguised and hidden, and the transparency is terrible. It's a war against Russia that Ukraine has no chance of winning. We're just prolonging it. And the Ukrainians are doing all the dying. You pretend to care about them. If you care about them, you should be working towards diplomacy. Then you've got the energy issues with Europe. So they're going to have shortages. Then you got the ruble that came back and is stronger. How do you defend it? We got inflation, food shortages, all that stuff, an open border. How are you defending this? You can't. Look at the list. Look at the list of issues. There's a lot of issues going on. That's why he said, "Oh, you vying for that Russia Today job?" Actually, shout out to Fiorella Isabel, highly respected journalist, commentator. She actually is going to be going to Russia. She will be working, I believe, with Russia Today in Russia. She is going to move to Russia and work with Russia. It hurts me to see that, because if life were balanced, that she would be I think she would be a reporter on a major news network in the United States, using her talents here. But first and foremost, congratulations to her. I hope it works out and stay safe. I don't know if Russia's dangerous. I'm just like, the unknown is always dangerous. I don't know Russia. She's very familiar with Russia. She's very well traveled and can take care of herself. I digress. Any fans of Fiorella here? I hope so. I digress. I'm going to get into the issue in a second, just to show, if you don't know who Fiorella Isabel is. Convo Couch fam. I talk about them a lot. Big fan. So she's with the Convo Couch, with Pasta and Nico House and them. She is going to be going to Russia today. She's a heck of a reporter. Shout out. I don't know her, but I'm a big fan. Heather Long tweeted, "Here's what Americans are seeing. Big bumps in prices." And everybody, thanks for jumping in live. I haven't checked the chat out. I will check it out in just a second before I get into Kathy for Truth, Kathy Barnette. Here's what Americans are seeing: big jumps in prices. Gas up 44%, airfare 33%, eggs 23%. I'm talking about going up. So unless you got a raise higher than these things, you're paying more. Your money is valued less. Utility, gas 23%, used cars 23%, hotels 23%, bacon 18%, chicken 15%, milk 15%, furniture 15%, coffee 14%, and I drink a lot of coffee. Beef, 14%. Flour, 14%. New cars, 14%. Tesla, in unrelated news, they announced their demand is so high, they might have to just say no more orders, no mas right now. You go online to buy a Tesla, you have to wait a year probably right now. Fish, up 13%. Electricity, up 11%. Health insurance, 10%. Rent, 5%. And that rent, I'm seeing rent way high. I'm surprised rent was that low. I'm seeing some people with the rent way up there. I think rent's going to be going higher than 5% because that's not even matching the inflation number. That's what we're dealing with. Dan, that's why a dude with 300 Twitter followers ratioed you to heaven or hell is because that's what we're dealing with. Bill Maher said the Democrat Party, why are you talking about student loan forgiveness? If you want to, Democrats are trying to win back the working class. I almost don't want to, I like Bill Maher. I almost don't want to go hard because watch Tim Pool when he talks about Bill Maher. He's one of the dudes that Tim Pool will go ham on. I think Bill should have, I don't know if he's been on with Bill Maher. Bill should have him on the show. Tim Pool goes ham on him. But he deserves it. I go hard on him with the trying to put in the Trump hate to stay in the club. But Bill, Democrats aren't trying to get the working class party. So when they call people ultra MAGA, that's the deplorables. That's the working class. They're looking down at you. They don't care about the working class. I don't know what their plan is, but Dan, that's why you got ratioed. What's up? Thanks for joining on the Late Night Live. I want to give a shout out. Ray Studio said his stream just ended. I'm going to be on with Ray Sunday. And the challenge is, and I apologize, Ray, I had a lot of stuff going on. I don't know when I'm going to be able to go live, so it's good that I have it scheduled out for Sunday. Then I have Monday, I'm going to be on Sweet Home California's channel. I'll put a link to that. So a lot of great things, I was just on with Peter and Jen from Generational Change, Populist Left. I think it was a great discussion. Thanks, Ray. Friend of show, all safe, friend of show. Yeah, he's a rhino, predictably. Yeah, it was all predictable how that went down. It's funny, though, how some people who don't watch this, who don't know this, usually on the left, they're like, oh, look at the Civil War, the infighting. What you're watching is MAGA taking over the corporate Democrats. That's what's happening. It's not any civil war. It's not. This is just war. It's not a civil war. They're not on the same team. And it's not just Dan Crenshaw. What that represents is them taking over everything. And that's why in my opinion, all these crazy things that are happening in the world today that seem like, why the hell are they happening? I think it's because of that populist movement. They don't want that populist movement to rise up. Basil Baby, he thinks Ukrainian citizens are CIA cannon fodder, I guess, bars. That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he said. And under that guise of, we got to help Ukraine. And nope. He just, Dan, in public, just basically said, yeah, we need to take out Russia and we don't have to sacrifice any of our people. Like, we don't have to lose any of our chess pieces. My goodness. Yeah, Ray's like, rent is higher than that. Yeah, I was surprised it was 5. I don't know. I'd have to look it up to see if that's, behind, like months behind or something. That's weird. And it depends on what area you're in. $40 billion to the Ukrainian government and weapons contractors, but nothing done about the cartels taking territory on the southern border. Man, they're getting strong, and China seems to be involved with everything. China is very much involved with the fentanyl and the southern border. So it might behoove us to take a look at that. Ray Studio said, I triggered some leftists in the comments. Yeah, but I think it was respectful, though. And they know that I'm definitely right of them on a lot of issues. I don't even like to say that, but they know I'm not. That what Ray Studio is talking about, I was on with a left channel. Now, I talk with the based left. This is not the wackadoo left. So I'm talking about like real populist left that I respect, at least for me. People on the left I respect, like Fiorella Isabel I just showed you is on left. We disagree on a lot of stuff, but we can still talk. We can still interact. It's not like the NPCs. So Ray Studios was in the chat interacting. Here's the big thing with the populist left. They just like to use the government more than we do. That's what it comes down to, Ray. They just like the government involved more than I do. That might even be a libertarian thing, but in most issues, not all, they're against mandates. They're based. You can talk with them. But yeah, Ray was talking. We were talking about Roe versus Wade, but Ray and I don't even agree on. A lot of people on the channel and I don't agree on it. I don't think we should legislate it. So that's where I'm at it. Tim Pool had a good discussion on that today. Tim Pool brought up, there was a really interesting discussion, and so Tim said, I never heard this in this debate before. He said that, okay, say you're in a blue state or a state that allows abortion. If you allow the option for the mother to abort the child, do you allow the option for the father? So the father can say, I don't want to be around. I was like, whoa, that was one of those moments. So again, the father can obfuscate his rights. So if the mother has a chance to abort the baby, then the father could have a chance basically to say, hey, I don't want to have to pay child support. I was like, that's actually a good point. What's the argument against that? It would never happen. I think Tim thought the leftists would never agree with that. It's just because of because of the money. They wouldn't care about I think what Tim mistook was they don't care about the other part of it. They would care about the money part. That was an interesting, y'all hear the debate there? Very interesting debate. Before I get to Kathy Barnette. Like, okay, if you want, and I am legislatively pro the mother having the choice. I know people are arguing about should you call it pro-choice or whatever. You know what I mean. I don't want to sound pro-abortion. See, that's why people don't want to use pro-abortion. That sounds really bad. But I am pro the mother having the choice. So if the mother has the choice, why can't the father have the choice to say, hey, you have the option to abort. So like right up until that head starts poking out, the father can bow out. I know this sounds funny. I know this sounds crazy. Can you imagine like that? I mean, that's what they're arguing with the abortion, right? Like you could, it's very tough to think about to abort like that late. But could you imagine in the room, man, there's nothing more traumatic than watching my kids get that process is one of the most visceral, raw, like human, like makes us like remember we are animals when that happens. And of course, my wife did all the work. I'm just saying it was still traumatic for me, not as much as it was for her, but I still have to be honest. It was traumatic, especially my first son. If you haven't been in a delivery room, like that was crazy. But could you imagine being in the delivery room and you're like, and the father has that same time frame to be like, I'm out. No one would want this to happen. I'm just joking. But could you imagine like the baby's coming out and the father's like, dang, this is the last, I got 30 seconds to decide. And before the last toe comes out, he's like, I'm out. because you could always bail back in maybe or whatever. Like, I'm out. I'm not taking responsibility. I think that's fair. I think it's a fair discussion. Ray Studio said he's more pro-life than Reagan and Trump. Do you remember that interview when Trump was figuring out who he was, and he was saying something to the effect like the mother should get prosecuted? He didn't have his thoughts fully fleshed out. It was really awkward. Basil Baby says family court is all about wealth extraction, extortion now. It's ugly stuff. I don't want to be a part of it. Yes, Ray Studios, I agree. The goal of socialism is communism, but I do believe in a dash of a little bit of, I'm for universal basic income. A lot of people are not. That is clearly a socialistic approach, if that's a word, but we already do socialism. We're already handing out welfare, Section 8, all that. My proposal is to take that away and replace it with the universal basic income. So, yeah. Who is Kathy Barnette? And that's the question that I've been having in my head, because I didn't know who she was until 2 days ago or something. Really, I started knowing who she was the day Trump brought Oz out. So that rally, honestly, that rally could be the end of Trump. It could be. I'm still open to Trump. I can't lie. It's getting a little annoying having to tell Trump we're not feeling you on this. It's getting a little bit annoying. So I don't know. I'm still open to Trump. But he brought out Dr. Oz, and it wasn't, let's just say it wasn't a great moment. It wasn't like, let me play it real quick. It wasn't like a great moment.
My friend, Dr. Mehmet Oz, he's a great man.
I would say that's a mixed response at best. Let me share my screen. I would say that's a mixed response. And that's how I found out who Kathy Barnette was. Like, okay, who else is out there? And then Pulsevec started tweeting about her. A lot of people started tweeting about her.
My friend, Dr. Mehmet Oz, he's a great man. My friend, Dr. Mehmet Oz, he's a great man.
That sounds like those sound like booze to me. Mixed response. So what I did is, what I wanted to see was, I'm not in Pennsylvania. Anybody know much about her? Yeah, the Johnson & Johnson moment was even worse than the Oz moment. That was terrible. Anybody else know, and that's All Safe who brought that up. So I'm like, okay, how do I find out who Kathy Barnette is? And I'm like, I'm a guy who I like the debates a lot, and we're in danger of losing a lot of the debates on the higher levels. They're probably just not going to do them. But in her debate, her first debate, it was in January. I believe it was January, Pennsylvania debate. The video looks like a high school. She was the star. She was the absolute star of that debate. Hands down, it was like an hour and 20 minutes. I've seen the whole debate. It was boring except for her. She was really, really good. I edited out some of her parts just to kind of give you a little introduction of who she is.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to be here to be able to present myself to you. Listen, last week, over 5,200 schools shut down and went virtual. And you know these unions will close our nation's schools again. At the beginning of December of last year, Joe Biden came before the American people and predicted a winter of death. And then he immediately scurried back into his man cave, making absolutely no accommodations for adequate therapeutics. And as a result, people are dying. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, more people are shot in the last 2 weeks in Philadelphia than who died from COVID. Pennsylvania now ranks number 4th in the number of overdose deaths. That's not a race we want to come in first at. Critical race theory is being taught in our school. Our nation is more divided than we have ever been in our life. Our borders are open. We should be talking about economics, and yet no one seems to want to talk about economics. Our nation is in trouble, and we all know it. We all know that there is something fundamentally going wrong with how our nation is being governed right now. I love my country, but let me tell you, the America that allowed a little black girl who grew up on a pig farm underneath the bottom rung of the economic ladder, that America is fast coming to a close. That America that allowed me, I grew up in a home with no insulation, no running water, an outhouse in the back and a well on the side. That America that afforded me the opportunity to claw my way and create a different life for myself. That America is fast coming to a close. And let me just end with the fact that we should know by now that what kind of candidate we need fighting for us. I hope by the end of this evening, I will have shown you that I am the candidate you need to get behind. Thank you.
Her presence was outstanding. This is the first debate again in January, so the pandemic was a hotter topic. I was highly impressed with her. I'll skip around a little bit to the clips that I got here so we can hear a little bit more about her,
Regardless of what issue we're talking about. So, first of all, we need to get our legislators, we need people in legislation, that's why I want to go there, who understand that it is Congress's, it is the Senate's responsibility to write legislation and to control the purse, right? The executive branch can't do much when you have legislators who have a backbone made of something a little bit more sturdier than ear cartilage. Secondly, the reason why people are not investing money into this, into drilling wells and things like that, when you look at the number of wells, they are significantly lower than they were pre-pandemic. The reason why they are not putting wells back online, many of you already know that, is because Joe Biden has created a very hostile environment in the energy industry. Who in their right mind is going to invest the amount of money and capital just down in Washington, D.C.?
So she's talking about all the kind of stuff we care about. I'm just going to go to the end on how she ended it. I was just really impressed. And then we'll get into there was a heartwarming video that I think really propelled her, that went viral online. We'll look at that after this.
We had Republicans in the first term of the previous administration, and they did absolutely nothing. This is not just about Republican versus Democrat. This is about getting good people in office who can begin to do what is necessary. They could have done it, and they did not do it.
This is a race for Senate, keep in mind. It is not very often in the history of politics that I've been following that you hear a populist message coming from a senator. This is very different. She has the presence of a senator, but you only really hear the populist message coming from the smaller district people in the House. She just went after the establishment GOP in this debate. She also said, they asked about, well, what do y'all think about Mitch McConnell? That was a setup question, because everyone knows if you're going to the Senate and before you get there, you're going to talk bad about Mitch McConnell, he's going to take all his resources to do the smear pieces, the hit jobs, and get you out of there. And her response was, we need some new blood in there. Fearless.
Why? Because they are benefiting as well as the Democrats. Listen, we've said a lot tonight. Let me just say, optics matter. Take a look at who is on this stage. I think it's very interesting that the three carpetbaggers who are in this race, who have galloped into our state, saying they're going to listen to us and work for us, and yet they're not here at all because they don't care about you. Joe Biden phoned this election in from his basement. These very uberly wealthy people are going to phone it in from their penthouses. They have no intentions of really spending time with you. I also think optics matter just from the perspective of my very presence being on this stage. Pay attention to that. This primary, most of us start running around and congratulating ourselves when we get our person through the primary. The primary is not the battle, it is the general. We need someone who has the ability to not only go into a room full of Republicans, but who has the ability to go into every single group of people and move them over. We have the best story to tell. We just keep picking people who suck at telling it. Help me, and I will fight for you.
So I didn't know anything about her. And I'm looking at this debate and I forget the names. I'm not familiar with the people running in the race. It was Jeff something and all these other people. I'll show you another moment where she, it wasn't on substance, but she held her own, which was really good in the second debate. But the other ones were just their typical corporate speak and, all the talking points. But she was the one that stood out. I agree with Allsafe. To me, the way he said that she's like a Condoleezza Rice, a more outspoken. I would say I agree. I would say she's more of a populist. Condoleezza Rice is the impression that I get. Condoleezza Rice is very corporate, very in my opinion, anti-people. But this was a good moment here too. She had a heartfelt debate, and then let me do this one.
Well, you've already witnessed how I will work for you when I am your senator, and how I will focus. We have another opponent.
Okay, I have to stop. Behave yourself, y'all. Ravilo Diab. Thanks for stopping by, says she's a babe. Okay. Honestly, being easy on the eyes is, this is a part of politics. So I will say she's easy on the eyes. Behave yourself, y'all.
Here on stage who has been calling my name from the very beginning. And what have I done? I've ignored it because I'm focused.
Because you attacked the Capitol.
Because you attacked the Capitol, Kathy. That's why. I know exactly.
Listen to this, Herb. He interrupted her to say because you attacked the Capitol. It's a nobody. His name's something like Evan Turner or something like, I forgot his name, but he's a nobody, but this is funny. Listen to this Herb right here. How soft is this?
Calling my name from the very beginning. And what have I done? I've ignored it because I'm focused.
Because you attacked the Capitol. Because you attacked the Capitol, Kathy. That's why.
I know exactly why I am here. And it is not to...
You shouldn't be here because
Mr. Stern, please let her answer the question. Go ahead.
Okay, stop my time and start over again. Listen, we are in serious times. People often ask me, what is your number one issue? And I always have to pause because it's like trying to drink from a fire hydrant. Everything is on fire in our country and it's not working. I don't care if you're the left or the right. Actually, it's not even about Democrat or Republican. It is about a system has been created where you have elites and those who are not elites.
So she's right on par with where people are feeling. You can say that these politicians could be actors or not, but she's right where she needs to be, in my opinion, right now. The Mitch McConnells, the guys who are like, oh, well, you were I think she was at the Capitol. I don't even know what he's talking about. I was reading some articles. I didn't think they said she was at the Capitol, but it sounds like maybe there's something there. He's like, you're at the Capitol. You're at the Capitol. Like he's off somewhere where people aren't, and she's right where the people are right now. Talking about, I don't care about, you don't hear that from senators. Again, you don't hear that from senators very often. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me somebody, a senator who says, I don't care about Republicans, Democrats.
You have the haves, and then you have the have-nots. I understand exactly why I am doing this. I was living my best life before I decided to jump into this race. And I am in here for one reason and one reason only. I love my country, but she is in trouble right now. And she needs people who have a spine made of something a little bit sturdier than ear cartilage, who's willing to stand up, be focused, and hold people accountable for what they have done to our country, but to work together. But you have to do that by ignoring the noise.
You're being backed by
and
Flynn.
being very focused on why
Ms.
we're
Barnette.
here.
Listen to this. I'm going to be careful with what I call this dude. Listen to this dude. Did you hear what he said? He said, you're backed by Flynn.
And she needs people who have a spine made of something a little bit sturdier than ear cartilage, who's willing to stand up, be focused, and hold people accountable for what they have done to our country, but to work together. But you have to do that by ignoring the noise.
You're being backed by
and
Flynn.
being very focused on why
Ms.
we're
Barnette.
I don't know if in a debate, I don't know if I've heard anybody sound so more soft and weak than you've been backed by Flynn, as if that's a bad thing to the people that she's speaking to. To the people that she's speaking to and rallying behind, that's not a bad thing for me. It doesn't stop me at all. I don't care. I assume that what he's saying is true. Basil Baby says he thinks taking selfies is September 11th. Yes. Here's the heartfelt video. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's actually kind of tough to watch. But this is what really, to me, she got a lot of good. It's a good example of how the internet has become a great equalizer, and why they're worried about Twitter, even just Twitter. Elon Musk taking it and making it more of a level playing field potentially, because she shined through. And I don't know if Twitter's a level playing field, and we've seen other Republicans as well do that. This is the heartfelt video.
I grew up in southern Alabama, very rural, one-stop sign town called Nichburg. Getting ready to go to college, I decided to go into the Army Reserves. But I had to go get my birth certificate, mainly because the name was different. The name I had always grown up with was Nelson, but then come to find out there was something completely different on my birth certificate. Clearly, I could have done the math and realized just how young my mother was when she gave birth to me, but it was never something that truly resonated with me until I looked at my birth certificate for the very first time and just kind of studied it. Her gender, they called her a Negro girl, and that was the first thing I saw, and it just kind of grabbed my heart. But then I saw her age, and she was 12. And that just really struck a chord in me, because I realized just how young my mother was when something so horrible had visited upon her. Even to this day, it's a very hard word to say, but my mother was raped, given her young age at 11 years old, my father being 21.
They was hurt. We was all devastated. But my mother said, you're pregnant, so we're going to get through this. And she helped me get through it. I don't want to use the word choice. She was going to be born. I didn't have a choice to say, you're going to live, I'm going to abort you. That wasn't a choice for me. And I thank God it wasn't a choice for me.
As a child, I knew no difference. I was loved, and I felt loved. It gave me a greater appreciation for my mother. It helped me to forgive a lot of the mistakes someone at that age, having gone through such trauma, would have made in their own parenting. But it definitely made me become very adamant about the sanctity of life, of all life, regardless of their conception, regardless of how they arrived, that I am valuable, I'm worthy, and my life has purpose. Before the foundation of the world, God saw me, and he decided
that I would be. And he said in his word that not only did I see you, but I called you, I predestined you. And so as a Christian, I believe in the value of life, that when I was in my mother's womb, he was knitting me together. Even among Christians, even among staunch conservatives, an exception to the rule of being pro-life for many is in the case of rape. And yet my life has value. From me has come two very beautiful and charming and smart kids, married to a wonderful husband. We've made a life for ourselves, and none of this would have happened if the exception to the rule had applied.
Regardless of how old you are and how the child was conceived, that child deserved a chance. And if I had made that choice, where would I be at right now without my daughter?
The hardest struggle for my mother, the hardest thing for her to overcome, I think is just the effects of the trauma itself. And that is why I think it's so important to help people understand that the trauma has already been inflicted. The child should not be inflicted with the consequences that squarely belongs on the one who inflicted the trauma. We have to be able to see the difference. Aborting me would not have eased the trauma that my mother suffered. Aborting me would not have allowed me to be in a place today where I can now take care of my mother.
It's just amazing to see them grow up. Regardless of how my life started out, I'm blessed.
I'm not left with bitterness. I'm left with overwhelming sense of gratitude. That not only did God see value in my life, but that my family saw value in my life. I'm very grateful for that. I'm eternally grateful that they chose to allow me to be born.
Yeah, that's not an interview video that you want to interrupt, probably. Powerful video there. All Safe says, what a beautiful description. And she basically was talking about how life works out. You think something as heinous and terrible. Her mom was raped by a 21-year-old male, unidentified, to my knowledge, from what I read. And out of that, her life. Now, that doesn't mean that has to be everybody's choice, but she's telling her, at least for me, she's telling her story unbelievable. And when you look at it, if Donald Trump didn't endorse Dr. Oz with that awkward boo, and Dr. Oz is fake and phony to me, I think he's all right for TV and Hollywood, but not for this moment, definitely not America First. He's not ultra MAGA. Trump endorsing Oz actually allowed, in my opinion, Kathy Barnette to become ultra MAGA. Trump endorsed Oz. People weren't feeling it. And then now you're looking at what are your other options. And you're like, wait a second. She killed it in the first debate. I didn't see the second debate, but she has a presence. And then she drops that story. It's like, wow, she has a good story. And now people are rallying. She's been on the War Room with Steve Bannon, I believe. And she's been rallying. So what will come with that? Remember I said that she came after Mitch McConnell. They're trying to smear her now, which I'm not saying what they're saying is wrong or right or what. I'm just letting you know what's happening. The GOP is panicking over ultra MAGA Pennsylvania Senate wild card. Say her name. They don't want to put her name in the title of in my opinion, that's not by accident. Kathy Barnette could win the party's nomination. It is possible. She's down, but she's within the margin of error. So what that means is it's neck and neck. She's been soaring ahead in the polls. So Mitch McConnell, who's the one that's trying to rally everybody and take the credit for taking back the Senate, they're a little bit worried about, hey, we haven't really vetted her. We haven't been paying attention. If I didn't see that January debate until today, if I had seen that in January, I would have been talking about her. They just weren't paying attention because they didn't think she was serious. She doesn't have the money. She's raised like, I think, $1 million. Dr. Oz, I think, has raised $15 million. They're worried a couple things, that she's not vetted enough, not experienced enough to handle it's going to be a crazy, midterm season, general midterm for her to run if she were to get the nomination. And they don't know if she's ready. And then on top of that, this is a good article by Axios, actually. So they later in the article, they say there's two things that they're concerned about. On top of that, she's also someone that they don't think they can control if she even got there. So we don't know if she can get there. At least they don't know. And then even if she were to get there, they don't know that they can control her. So they're having a debate that they don't know what to do with her. She's close with Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell and them, they don't roll with a Mitch McConnell. So this is the worst case where I was talking about best case. Best case, she's elected, ends up a thorn in their side. So hopefully she doesn't get sold out, bought out by corporate interest. I don't know her corporate interest background already. But she's already talked about, she's already kind of separated herself from Mitch McConnell. She can't talk the way she's talking and associate herself with that. Here's kind of the stuff that's been spreading around about her. Play this video here. Richard Grinnell brought this out, obviously trying to smear her.
Dismantling privilege and classism in America today. The reason for so much unrest in the Black community is because of white racism. Black Americans feel disenfranchised. Systemic racism, specifically among police officers. I recognize that there are inequalities still throughout our country. I have the blood of slaves coursing through my veins. White racism, blessings. Bye-bye.
So you can see where they're trying to go with that, saying she's this or that. That little clip right there, that's the best you got. And maybe it's a concern. Obviously, that's not really where I'm at. But there's people I respect, like Officer Tatum. I believe he uses the term Black community. Delano Squires uses the term Black community, I believe. These are people I highly respect. And it's not like, see, I think the left overusing these terms has turned it to like, if anyone uses the term, that's what they believe what the left believes. Nah, that's not the same thing. You took little clips, you take them out of context. When she was on the debate stage, she wasn't talking about that. So it's something to file away, but you can see what they're going. The GOP operatives are passing around negative articles about her from Breitbart and the Washington Examiner. So they're really trying to pile it on now, last second. Because this primary when's this primary? Is it the 17th? That reminds me, my wedding anniversary is the 16th. I better get I gotta get my stuff ordered. Woo, late. Before you might have to say like, damn, Osiris hasn't done a video in a while. That's me trying to make it up to my wife. Oh man. But that's what's happening. There's a push to go after her. There's one group with a massive bank account. I'm reading that here from the Axios article. And the potential to affect GOP races, the McConnell Allied Senate Leadership Fund has no plans to engage in the Pennsylvania primary, a source with direct knowledge of the group's plans told Axios on Wednesday. So what's my takeaway now? That's my piece on her. Is there's a reason why good people don't run for office. It's because of stuff like this. It's really same thing. The stuff like, I know Madison Cawthorn has done a lot of crazy, stupid things, but it's what he was talking about with, you say something, they're going to dig up dirt on you. They're going to make you look this kind of way. It's dirty. And these populist candidates are going to be imperfect. They should be imperfect. They shouldn't be polished. And when Trump, one of the moments that changed the game was when Trump in 2016, I thought it was over when the Access Hollywood tape dropped and Trump was like, grab him by the Uchi. I thought it was a wrap. because that's how politics worked up until then. Nope, it wasn't. Ever since then, I don't know. It would have to be a very crazy type of scandal. Other than that, it's like, are you voting for my freedom or not? So for me, she would have my support in that race, and then I would give her a chance. You know, who knows? It's hard to get to know somebody, much less a politician you don't know. But she would get my chance. Let me know what you think. Turtle Man needs to go. He could take that weirdo Lindsey Graham with him. Oh, Lindsey Graham. I would like to see those clips in full. Which clips were those? Oh, yeah. The clips with they took them out of context. And then they had to repeat the clip. Like repeat. So, yeah. Well, wow, look at this. Ray Studio says, I wish Alex Jones could run for office, but he's not allowed to because he is labeled as an Wow. I didn't know that. He's labeled as an international terrorist. Wow. Just for his opinions. Is that a fact? That is crazy. I like Alex Jones, man, just to do his show. But yeah, would that be crazy if Alex Jones ran for president? Y'all might think I'm crazy, but I threw this out on Twitter, and I think I have one more story, just one more quick story. I'll be out here. I threw this out on Twitter. I might as well pull it up. I threw this out on Twitter. Ray, don't kill me. Ray's gonna kill me here in a second. For this one, yeah, this one for sure, Ray. You're gonna get me on this one. What if, let's say hypothetically, and I'm not sold on Trump, but this hypothetically, I have nothing against Trump, but I'm not sold on Trump for this one. I don't know if this is the time for him. His time might have come and gone. Would you hear me out? Hear me out. So sometimes you delay, like, hear me out. Give me a chance. It makes it, sound better. Would you support a Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders ticket in 2024? So this is very important. The order is very important because I would not support a Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders president, Trump vice. Donald Trump as POTUS and Bernie Sanders as VP. Ultra MAGA, redefining Ultra MAGA for the populist right and left. And I know y'all are going to be like, damn it, you keep trying to sneak in the populist left into the conversation. And I do. I'm doing that on purpose. I'm open about it. Ray's going to unsubscribe. Ray, hang in there, man. Hang in there. Hang in. Ray was like, while I was leading up to it, Ray was like, just say it. Just spit it out, man. And then, he got triggered. No, man, just think it through, though. Let me give you some context to this fake scenario, obviously. Donald Trump is a lifelong New York corporate Democrat, just the type of guy, not with ideology, just the type of guy to cut a check to the Schumers of the world and say, hey, cut me some breaks when I need it. That type of stuff. So it wasn't hard for him to break from that. It's not like he really believed in the corporate Democrat, system or whatever. They don't even have an ideology. But he's controlled by the people. That's all that matters. Same with Bernie. Bernie's Fugazi. Maybe at one time he was a real activist. Props to him. But he became a comfy corporate dude. I know he is. But that magic he had 2016, 2020 was the same, is very similar to Trump. It just was from people on the left. I'm telling you all, we can get along with people on the left who are based in truth. Period. You can work it out. That's the problem we're having. The corporate people are getting in the way. That's what's happening. I just talked about Fiorella, Pasta, Nico House, and them. I did a video a while back on the channel about Unholy Rome, who's like, I'm a socialist. I'm a what is it? They got the Russian flag or whatever. Like, I'm a true socialist. I'm a true communist or whatever that thing. And I broke it down. I was like, I know it sounds crazy. They aren't the radical. They're the ones that grew up with getting screwed over by Obama, seeing Bernie getting screwed over, capitalism failing, markets crashing, big banks getting blown up and then built back up, money going to them, not the people, money going to Ukraine. The squad in D.C. is fake. So that's why they went to that route. They're like, I don't like what's happening. That's all it is. We can work with them as long the type that isn't based in fact. Tim Pool is a leftist. He's a leftist skateboard dude. You can work with leftists. And I didn't know. I was listening to Salty the other day. I'm a little off topic here, but I was listening to Salty Cracker the other day, and I had no idea they go hard at Tim Pool. Anyone from Salty Army in here? I'm like, damn. They would go hard at me too, because I'm known as more milk toast than Tim Pool is. But the Salty, I thought they would be cool with Tim Pool, but they go hard at Tim Pool, but they can get along with Tim Pool. It's these Dan Crenshaws of the world and the AOCs and all these fake ones out here. The Jim Clyburns of the world. Those are the ones that you can't get along with. So if the people rule Bernie Sanders and the people rule Donald Trump, and keep in mind, Bernie would be VP. You don't have that much power as VP. You don't do much, to be honest with you. That's a hell of it's like a backup quarterback job. You rally the troops a little bit. You do a little bit of whipping up the votes. You might be the tiebreaker like Kamala is. Other than that, Kamala just chilling. And she's not, really, she's not really doing, just my opinion. VP doesn't do much. They're not grinding like the president is. Let's just put it like that. They got to be aware. They go to meetings and all that. I got it. But they don't have that end responsibility. Just to be clear, my opinion on this, I would love it. I would love it. I would be because I would love it because the populist right would be the president and the populist left would have representation. They'd be heard. And then you could take all of DC and get these fakes out of here. This really got me, this vote here on Ukraine. I got to even come back to that. This vote here on Ukraine, this vote on Ukraine from the populist left. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing from the populist left. Let me see if I can find it here. I tweeted about it. Just absolutely embarrassing. So when it comes to this is Aaron Mate, populist left type of journalist, does a lot of stuff with Jimmy Dore. When it comes to this dangerous and expensive Ukraine proxy war, congressional progressives, including Bernie Sanders and the squad, are seeding anti-war sentiment and attendant advocacy for social spending instead of war. So what they're saying is that's stuff the populist left should be about. They're seeding that to MAGA, like MAGA as you guys. They're trying to brand MAGA as a bad thing. They're branding it as even more stronger than ever. Anti-war, advocates for social spending and America first. They're seeding all of that to the right. Marjorie Taylor Greene's the one, not AOC. She voted for the bill. Marjorie Taylor Greene's the one that's taking pictures of the bill and showing you why I'm not voting for it. AOC is the one that's supposed to be doing that. Even Donald Trump Jr. is coming in talking about you can't find baby formula and you drop a 40 bill for Ukraine. And so I'm like, man, the uncomfortable truth and I would tell that directly to them, to Jen Perlin and anyone that didn't come up. I kind of bring it up, but this is the progressive left, they got to vote these people out of office. They're so busy talking about race. They're so busy trying to distance themselves from MAGA that they don't understand when they should agree. So I think Bernie at vice president might help with that. They need some help. Salty has his branding, but he still covers. Oh, that's my dude, Salty. I am Salty all the way. That dude is hilarious. I just like Salty. He had a great interview with Viva and Robert Barnes. One of those what do they call them? I forgot what they sidebars. That was a really good one. Corporatism in government is actual fascism. Absolutely. Good discussion in the chat tonight. Basil Baby says Sanders vacations in commie countries but buys his homes in the U.S. Yeah, I know there's problems there, but if the populist left actually controlled them, then maybe it wouldn't matter that he's so corporate. So let me end on this. This is an incredible, just basically an incredible moment, heroic moment. And I always have to bring it back to our country. Where are we at? When crazy things happen, it really shows you where we're at in our country. This is in Boynton Beach. So there's a car, if you're just listening to this, there's a car drifting into the intersection. You'll see it while traffic is going. How this car didn't hit anything, I have no idea. So this is in Florida. Cars coming into the intersection, so the person driving had some type of medical incident. And it's like, whoa. So I don't know how that person knew. So there's a car in the far background. It's like a goldish color or silver colors car. A woman will get out and chase very dangerously while traffic is going. Everybody doesn't know what's happening. They're in the middle of a dangerous, busy intersection. And she is, I think it's a woman. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a woman. She's in the middle of the intersection trying to stop a moving car. A very busy intersection at that. And so she's the first courageous one. And then now, when you see her out there in the middle of the street trying to stop the car, like, if you're there, like, are you not going to help out? And then look at that. Swoop, swoop. Look at that. Dude runs in from the top right, from the left. They run in, so they're pushing this car to try and stop it from hitting other cars. And they stop it. They stop the moving car safely. They're calling for help. Somebody broke the window to get in, it looks like. There's about 6, 7 of them. What a moment. That's really our country right there. It's still there. I know it's Florida again. Maybe Florida's okay. Maybe it's just Florida. I don't know, but it's still there somewhere. Maybe Florida's going to save us all. It reminds me of that amusement ride. There was a video that came out. There was an amusement park ride where the ride it's a very common ride. It was going to tip over. And they came to save it. It was another crazy moment. They were going to save it. It was going to tip over, and they ran over to put their weight on it to make sure that it didn't tip over. And it was just like that. So it took one person to start, and then everybody went over. That's what I see. I still see that in our country. I think it was a beautiful thing. I don't know. Hopefully everybody was okay. The police were trying to say who was in the video because they wanted to give them, I don't know, award, honor, or something, credit. They just did their thing and just went on. Good news story. So Basil Baby says, my spouse has helped Ukrainians during this conflict. The fear and suffering is real. I assume Salty, like many Americans, is feeling manipulated and bitter about the whole thing, unfortunately. We have to keep stating, just like I want to be with the people of our country, the people of Ukraine, the people of Russia, any country. They're not the ones. I mean, there is some responsibility when it comes to how do you hold your government accountable. But forget all that. They're not the ones that got into this. They're not the ones who failed to find a diplomatic way out. So I'm not against money, some money to help them. We've already sent that. I don't know. It was 3.5 million, I think, went to helping displaced Ukrainians, and now more is going there. I'm not entirely against that. But when we talk about weapons and using our resources to target Russia, that's the problem. So maybe we don't do a good enough job to distinguish that nobody wants to see common citizens pay with their life for mistakes of corrupt of politicians and officials. So yeah, thoughts and prayers up to everybody. There's conflicts all over the world right now that we need to give, thoughts and prayers to common people on. Ray Studio said, have you seen the video of the alligator eating a turtle? It just crushes the shell with his jaw. No, I have not. That's crazy. That's something, my brother's into, like animal videos. I am too. I'm surprised I haven't seen that. Yeah, delineation is the key, is what Allstate says. All right. I'm going to be out. I appreciate it. What I'm doing with the videos is I'm not even trying to get them. I'm almost giving up on trying to get them monetized when they start. 80 to 90% of them, probably about 25% at most, are just monetized when I put them up. So what I've been doing is it takes about a day, usually, sometimes a little bit longer, for them to review the video however they review it, and then say, oh yeah, we made a mistake, it is monetized. And my videos are not Mr. Beast. Let's just say that they're not PewDiePie, so they're not getting views after a day, so it's a wrap pretty much. So I kind of put them up for like the members only, and then once it gets monetized, then most of those will go up, except for some of the spicy ones. I did a video on Daisy Taylor, trans adult star, that was on with comedian Andrew Schultz. And Andrew Schultz is, that was a little spicy, so just leave that under that. So good. Thanks a lot for joining. I appreciate it. I'm going to try and wrap up, hopefully do some editing and get some sleep. Hopefully everybody has a good night. Get some rest for, hit it hard tomorrow if you got to go to work or whatever is going on. And I'll try to be in touch. Thanks, Ray. Ray just emailed me the video. Let me see if I can find it real quick. If you just emailed it to me, I can look that up, and we might end on that note. Are you into animal videos, Ray? I like watching like the bears, like when they're out in the woods and they encounter the bears. Some of those videos are so cool. Oh, wow. So this is, it's a pretty, so I have the video here. I'm going to share it in a second. This is crazy. Nature, Mother Nature is wow. Mother Nature is savage. I absolutely think there's something we can learn from watching videos like this. Dang. He just cracked it. That's a big alligator. It looks like a big alligator. It's like a dinosaur. Ah. Wow. Wow. It's like a snack to the alligator. Why does that thing look so huge? Looks like a Spinosaurus. Is it gonna burp? Did it just burp? Oh man, that's crazy. But I think there's something you can learn from that. He is into animal. Thank you, All Safe. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm about to be out, so you can head out anytime. Still having a lot of. I might do my first debate if I can get in touch with this dude. There's a good channel. There's a guy who does. He's pro reparations, and I'm pretty big on the topic of reparations right now because I think that's the heart. Because I'm trying to figure out there's got to be like a heart of an issue or a thing to kind of get at. Like, how do you fight critical theory? It's when you break it down, it's a very difficult religion to combat. And when I say combat, I mean like with a better ideology. Very, very difficult. For people who believe in it, it's like a cult, basically. Very different, very difficult to break out of it. And we're only getting deeper and deeper in it. And for critical theory, it's really like critical theory in practice. In practice or praxis. It's not like the law version, obviously, but the distinction it's not even worth making the distinction at this point. And I think the topic is reparations. That's the big topic that's not being discussed, that needs to be hashed out. And we're not going to agree on anything, just like abortion, but it's got to be talked about more, in my opinion. We don't talk about it enough. And I think that's the reason why. Because if you get the people there's a lot of passion about that topic. So I might debate somebody on that, but I'm going very hard on that on Twitter. Yeah, Tim Pool did very respectfully destroy Daryl Davis on that part. And, Daryl David has done some good things, but, on the reparations, I don't think he's thought through his opinion on it. I've thought through it a lot. I've thought through it since, probably 18. I've been thinking through that. So it's been a while. I've fleshed out. I'm not all the nitty gritty details, but just in theory, that. So I'll do some more videos on that in the channel. I'll probably have to do a whole new playlist to break down short little. Hopefully, keep them from 5 to 6 minutes. It's 5 to 8 minute videos on reparations. All right, great. Well, Gators are in Florida, so it could be DeSantis. All right. Well, thanks a lot for stopping by. Appreciate you. Take care.